With me I have Mr. Ephraim Halevi, the former head of the Israeli intelligence agency, the Mossad. Mr. Halevi, thank you very much for joining us here on RT. A nuclear Iran or war with Iran, is there a third option?
Yes, there is a third option, and the third option is a non-nuclear Iran with an agreement, an understanding with the Iranians that they will not become nuclear and that they will be reintroduced into the family of nations from which they have been virtually expelled in the recent months, under terms which will also take into account some of their interests and some of their anxieties.
How possible is this third option?
I think it's very possible, because I think the international pressure which has been building up in recent months is beginning to have serious effects inside Iran, on the economic side, on the moral side, the morale side. And I think that the basic interest of the people in charge in Iran, put it that way, is to maintain their position, to maintain power.
Do you think Iran poses an existential threat to Israel or any other state in the region?
I'm on record as repeatedly saying that I don't think that there is such a thing as an existential threat to Israel, because I think Israel is strong enough to protect itself, to take care of itself, and I think that ultimately it's not in the power of Iran to destroy the state of Israel.
So why does the Israeli leadership insist on presenting Iran as this big danger?
I believe that the leadership believes that in order to arouse international public opinion, and in order to mount pressure upon the Iranians, it's necessary to impress upon the world at large, public opinion, international public opinion, that this is a serious international threat. And I believe that in this context, probably the leadership here believes that using the word existential rings a bell, which also brings you back to days gone by in the 20th century, the rise of Nazi Germany, the World War II, and of course the Holocaust. And these apparitions, these pictures, these experiences are recalled in order to impress upon the world that maximum pressure should be mounted on Iran.
Does Israel have a nuclear weapon?
I don't know, and if I knew, I don't think this would be the opportunity for me to say something positive and definitive on that. But I think that there is in the world an assumption. There is in the world a feeling that Israel has something up its sleeve. And I think that this is something which is important in the present situation, because part of the name of the game now is deterrence. And I think it's very important to deter Iran. And if Iran believes that Israel has certain capabilities, where it has it or not, I think this is a positive card in the hands of Israel.
What would be better, if Israel and Iran both had nuclear weapons, or if neither had?
I've been asked that question before, and I think it's a theoretical question. What you're alluding to is, in the end, has the time come for Israel to change its policy of what we call the opaque method of presenting what we have or not? And I don't think that this time has arrived, for the reason I've given before.
As far as the Mossad is concerned, would you define its current mission as preventing war or weakening Iran in the case that war does happen?
I think that it is the mission of the Mossad to do everything in its capabilities to make a threat which has been posed to Israel dormant.
What capabilities does the Mossad have when it comes to Iran?
Well, here again, I don't think that it would be useful for me to list a whole list of capabilities. I think these are the capabilities which every intelligence organization has. I think it's important to say that we have been involved in what we call a clandestine war for quite some time with Iran. And what's interesting about this war is, of course, that both sides have more or less preferred that the details of this war, the details of various events, be not exposed to the public.
When you talk about clandestine war, the killing of Iranian scientists, the accidents at key Iranian plants, computer viruses, is this what you're referring to?
I'm referring to a whole range of activities. I will not confirm anything which you have just now mentioned, but I will say I think that there is a long and a large range of activities that have been carried on for a very, very long time, over a very long period of time. And I think that these activities have registered on the other side very, very significantly. And I will not say anything more than that.
If war was to break out, on whose side would Turkey be? On the one hand, it is a NATO member, but it's also at odds with Israel.
Turkey would not like a nuclear Iran on its borders, and I don't think that Turkey in the end would lend its capabilities or preventing capabilities to either side. My guess is that in a situation like this, Turkey would take a neutral position.
One of your missions when you were head of the Mossad was to promote ties between Israel and less friendly states. So how would you see the current policy of what many say is Israel's self-isolation, particularly with regards its former allies, Egypt and Turkey?
Well, I look upon this in a different light than you've just mentioned. If I would look at the situation Israel is in today, compared to what it was in before the peace process began in 1977-78, when Egypt launched its initiatives towards Israel, I think the two situations are not comparable. We lived for 30 years, from 48 to 78, in a situation of isolation. We are not isolated today in the region. We have our differences. We have more than just differences. We have bones of contention with some of the countries. Like with Turkey, we've gone through a very difficult time. And as far as Egypt is concerned, Egypt is also going through a very difficult time. And I don't think that it's in the interest of Egypt today to abrogate the Israeli-Egyptian peace treaty. Egypt does not need a war now on its northern borders.
Since you retired from the Mossad, you have been meeting with Iranians. Is there a genuine interest among some Iranians and some Israelis to promote peace?
I have met Iranians in international fora. I have not had private relations or private contacts with Iranians. There are many Iranians, the way I see it, who would like the present confrontation between Israel and Iran to gradually end and create a new situation, the like of which we had from 48 to 78. Because Iran and Israel basically do not have bones of contention. We don't have issues, territorial issues between ourselves. We don't have other kinds of issues between ourselves. We have ideological issues between ourselves. And I think it would be wrong for Iran to enable ideology to be the main driver of its policies and the cause of serious drawbacks which it has been suffering as a result of putting ideology on the front burner.
What are some of the discussions and some of the questions that are raised at these informal meetings?
You have Iranians who say, look, Israel has no right to exist. Israel should disappear. Israel is not a natural entity in the Middle East. And then you have these same Iranians coming and saying, we believe that Israel has nuclear capability. Israel should sign the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, just as we have, and should reveal what it has. Well, according to the law of nations, only nations and countries can be members of the NPT. So you cannot, on the one hand, demand that Israel should sign the NPT, on the other hand, deny Israel's right to exist. And I've said to them that I believe that this is something which is unacceptable. A second point has been that Israel has insisted on its being recognized as a Jewish state. And they have said to me, look, it doesn't say that France, in its title, doesn't say the Christian state of France, or the Christian state of Britain, or the Catholic state of Germany, and so forth. And I've said to them that why do you say the Islamic Republic of Iran? If you erase the word Islamic, we will erase the word Jewish. And they say, no, that's different. Why is it different? This is the kind of discussion we have had, to put it that way. Sometimes very, very heated discussion.
In your opinion, would it be good or bad for Israel if Assad's regime falls?
Let me first say that Israel has no way of influencing the results of the present events in Syria. I believe that Assad is going to fall. And I think that ultimately Assad will fall in a way which will cause a lot of bloodshed. And I think that this bloodshed will have enormous effects on the history of Syria and maybe of neighboring countries as well.
Hamas is very likely to have a new leader soon. How will this play into Israeli-Palestinian reconciliation efforts, if at all?
First of all, I'm not sure Hamas will have a new leader. Secondly, I don't think that Khalid Mashal has been the most extreme of the leaders of the Hamas. He's also on record as saying that he's willing temporarily to accept a Palestinian state in temporary borders, which is something which moves in its significance to a first step in recognizing the fact that the state of Israel is here to stay. My view is, and I know that this is not the view which is shared by the government of Israel at the moment, that ultimately we will have to deal with the actors the way they are. And I think there is potential of finding ways and means of dealing with them in a way which will not injure the basic interests of Israel.
Ephraim Halevi, thank you very much for joining us here on RT.
Thank you.